You're listening to the Clean Comedy Podcast with your host, James Creviston.
Hey, everybody, it's James at the Clean Comedy Podcast, and today I have a great guest for you guys. I am all about, I like sketch comedy, I like improv comedy, I love stand-up comedy. You guys know this. I love all this stuff. This guy runs a group in Chicago. First of all, Chicago was like the home of like sketch and improv and stuff. That's where a lot of SNL players came from. So this is a good deal. And they're a clean comedy group called Well-Versed Comedy. They provide clean improv, and they do it in a Christian and clean way, which I really am interested in, because a lot of times when you do, like, I've done improv classes and it can go left really fast, right? You can end up in a weird place. So please welcome Dave from this is from Well-Versed Comedy. Dave, welcome to the show.
Hey, James, I'm glad to be here. Thanks so much for having me on to talk about comedy. I love it.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. So did you start in improv? Is that like how you got your start in comedy, or did you try stand up first or sketch or something? Like, a lot of people come in one way and then kind of sometimes go other ways. What about you? What was your in?
My in was actually professional wrestling. I spent 8 years as a pro wrestler, which turns out is nothing more than improv theater in the round with very tight-fitting clothes. And for those that wear skinny jeans, it's kind of hand in hand. But I don't wear skinny jeans. But but yeah, I was a weekend warrior in southern West Virginia, Tennessee, North Carolina, and I know I'm pulling the curtain back, but I think we pretty well all know that it's theater, but It's improv. We go out there, we have a kind of a set scenario, we feed off each other, feed off the audience, and we tell a story. And it's one of those things where if the story is going really well and the audience is really into it, we will keep going a little bit longer. If not, we'll edit the scene and save the rest of the show. And that's the same philosophy with improv. Is if you're in the middle of a scene and it's just not going anywhere, unless you're somebody like Triple H that just has the power to just keep going no matter what. Right, yeah. You want to go ahead and end the scene quickly so you can get out and let somebody else come on and try to win the crowd back.
Yeah. You want to build the heat up, and then you want to get to the finale and get the false ending, and then you should get another ending after that, the twist. And yeah, I did some pro wrestling training myself, by the way. So that's really interesting that's the way it is. I enjoyed it. It's really fun. I have a hard time keeping the physical and the story going at the same time. Like, those two things are like hard in my mind. So I'm focused on like, all right, I need to do this move and make sure I do it this way so he doesn't get hurt, I don't get hurt. You know what I'm saying? So you're doing all those movements. If you guys never have done pro wrestling training or seen any of it, it's very rigid. And like, you do this move this way and this way only, because you can paralyze somebody, you can hurt somebody. I mean, there's a lot that you can do, and it's really fun to do. It's a lot of work. Everybody's like, oh, it looks so fun. It is fun, but it's a lot of work. And the ropes will just beat up your back here, like, and you have a certain way you're supposed to grab the rope to do it, and it's just, there's so many parts to it. It's funny that you call it improv, because I would say the story is improv, but the action is very scripted, and like, you have to do it this way or it ends badly. But that's so cool. One of my friends, Matt Riddle, is in the WWE now. So he was my wrestling coach, and we were friends in Vegas when he did UFC. He was an MMA fighter. So I've always loved wrestling, but I was very excited when he got on RK Bro. That's right. So now so that's a cool way to come to improv, honestly. Like, and that's probably the coolest improv like entry I've ever heard in my life. So how do you go from that professional wrestling, which is not a clean world, I would say, and not a very rugged, very rowdy world, to well-versed comedy, to doing this? How do you end up there?
So I was doing this in the South, and I was also during most of my life, I battled with depression, and so as a way to add value to the world, to hide my depression, I performed, whether it's on stage during plays or in the midst of group setting, I always try to make people laugh. I was in radio for 6 years, another way to perform, and then wrestling for 8 years. It was all about performing and being in front of people, entertaining, making their day better somehow, some way. And then when I finally turned to God to handle and like just say, God, take this depression from me. He showed me that I was doing what he wanted. I was entertaining people. I was improving their day. I was adding value to the world through that. But my why was selfish. It was like trying to hide the things that I was wrestling with. And God showed me he wanted me to do it as a way to reveal who he is, to bring people together, to show them that there's more than what we see. There's hope. There's a reason to live beyond today because there's something greater out there than our bills, our stresses. And so I said, all right, God, so what am I going to do? There's not a comedy scene in Southern West Virginia. And through my sister, my family, he moved me back to Chicagoland where I was born. And I started the comedy troupe with a guy I met, of all places, on Craigslist. He
Good old
was,
Craigslist.
yeah, it's insane because there's always horror stories for people that meet people on Craigslist. But I actually met two really cool opportunities through Craigslist. One was my co-founder of the comedy group, and we just wanted to bring people together and offer distraction, because even in 2013, before anybody had heard of a pandemic, there was enough stress to go around. People were, just the day-to-day stress of life can wear you out, and you need an outlet. You need somewhere to recharge, and that's what we wanted to do. And so we started a group. We thought we were cornering the market on Christian improv. We had such hubris, thinking like, oh, nobody's doing this. So we picked a name, and come to find out that, oh, there's somebody that had been doing it in Texas for 10 years and they had the same name. So it shows that we had a good idea, but we needed to really, get more mature about the idea. So we rebranded as Ha 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 Men, which was a wordplay of haha and amen.
Yeah.
Didn't quite take off. People didn't get the joke.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that you, in your career, you've had that moment where you're like, this is brilliant, and nobody you've ever performed the joke for got it.
Yep. I've had those jokes where I was like, I love, and you have to kind of give up those things where you're like, I love this. I think it's hilarious. I do that with my family all the time, because I will do like material around them, just like, or material come from me doing silly stuff around them. And my daughters will go, that's not funny. And my wife is like, it's funny, but nobody else is going to get it. I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. I'll let it go. And then I do it in the house, and they laugh. But yes, that's 100% true. I loved it. I laughed right away when you said, ha, ha, man, because I was thinking, ah, man, like, I thought it was funny. Like, yeah, okay, whatever. You guys missed out.
You're equally brilliant. We are equally brilliant people. It's just the world has to catch up.
Yeah, exactly.
So so we started doing mostly fundraisers, free shows, because until you get the big break, you're not going to make money. So why try to force people to pay you $5 when you just do it for free for the joy of it?
Yep, exactly right. Exactly right. So how many people are in the troupe currently? How many people are in your improv troupe currently?
Currently, we have 11, which is a large number, but
that is a big group. Yeah.
It's that way. So because everyone's got a life, everyone's got a family, everyone's got kids, things that, they got, jobs that pay. And so the idea was, we'll build a big roster so that anytime somebody asks us for a show, we're going to have at least 4 people that can go.
Right.
And
that's perfect.
And also, it gives us a variety of voices at rehearsal. I'm very intentional about being as diverse as we can, not for window dressing or to check a box, but to find talented people that are from different backgrounds, different lives, and we all come together. And because we are Christian, we want to be intentional about looking like what God's heaven is going to be like. There's not just going to be white people. There's not just going to be black people, or it's going to be everybody. There's going to be a great mix, and I want us to be intentional about looking that way, so that whenever if we go into the inner city Chicago, somebody's going to see somebody on stage they can identify with. And that's intentional for the kingdom. It's also the way the world thinks. It's like, if you have 8 people that look like this, I'm not going to really play that well in inner city Chicago. And that's just kind of the way the world works. And I'm not saying, I don't want to be negative, but that's just, people want to see somebody they can identify with.
Of course. No, 100%. I get it. That's why it's always funny when people are like, oh, Christians only want to see the Jesus they want to see, or it's white this or whatever. I'm like, guys, we're out in the world. There's a bajillion of us. It's not just like one of us. Like if every Christian dude looked like me or you, right? Or then yeah, we have a problem. Obviously, there's a bigger problem. But that's not the case, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, go watch Michael Jr., right? If you want to talk to like like there's a different perspective on that. You know, there's so many other people out there. I mean, I grew up on Rich Mullins and the Ragamuffin Man. I don't know if anybody else knows that theory, like knows that music, but like that dude's not white and he's amazing. And like he changed the world. Like, I don't know. It's so weird when people get like that about it. Now you're in the hearts of like the heart and soul of where sketch comedy, like the strongest, some of the biggest groups ever came from. You know, Second City is there. I believe IO started there. Like a lot of those kind of like sketch groups started there, but you guys do improv, but they do improv too. Does that give you a larger group to pull from? Can you go find people from those things who are interested in joining your troupe, or is it harder? Are you competing for people now?
It in some ways it's harder because we're not a brand. We're a little bit of a brand. We're 10 years old. We've been around,
right?
But when people
You're not Second City,
right? We're not Second City. We're not IO. Yeah. We meet in a church twice a month. It's not glamorous, and it's, you know, people who are here to do improv, most of them are here to make it to the Second City stage, to get to New York, to get to LA. And so for us, it's harder, but also at the same time, it makes sure that we get the people with the right heart and the right attitude to do comedy as a way to serve people, instead of serving yourself and getting to your next step. And so it's harder to get like massively brilliant people, but at the same time, we have massively brilliant people who just have the right heart. So it's kind of both and. There are Christians who are in entertainment that are well known, but they're not going to come to Lombard, Illinois for rehearsal because we're not on their career path. So it's kind of both and.
Right. No, Kevin Sorbo goes to my local pavilion. So like I run into him every now and then. So I feel I know what that's like. It's of like being in that there's a universe of them that exists, but like you're not in the same, you're kind of in the same universe, but not in the same universe type thing. It's really funny to do.
We're Pluto in that universe. We're not really a planet.
I feel like I'm Pluto when I run into him. I'm always like, I just want to hang out with you for a little bit. Just let me hang out with you. Let's talk Hercules for an hour. Let's just you and me. Like it'll be cool, you know. But he won't do it. I want him to. Believe me. I grew up on Kevin Sorbo, so I mean that's really good. What do you guys have? What's like your favorite improv game? What's like the game that made you love like actual improv as opposed to like wrestling improv, but like real improv and the improv games? What game made you like fall in love with it?
I watched a lot of Whose Line Is It Anyway, both British and the American, and I've always loved Scenes from a Hat and World's Worst, which it's kind of unique that my favorites are the ones that are the individual based, so it makes me sound like a horrible teammate. But I love where it's it's quick and you got to fire and you got to follow your foot. Where like in World's Worst or Scenes from a Hat, you may not have the idea, but your foot leads you, and you're like, okay, now I'm on stage. I got to come up with something, and magic just happens. So I love those. I really like also the guessing games, like Party Quirks or Dating Game or things like that, where I'm acting, but I'm also trying to figure out what these other people are telling me. Those are a lot of fun for me.
Do you guys ever play like I think it's named different things, but like Dr. Big Brain, where it's like three people together and someone asks like, and you like do that's like my favorite. That was the game that made me love improv. Like that was a game where it was like, okay, we're all gonna have a different thing, and it's gonna be very funny because you're already in your brain thinking of what you're gonna say, and it's never gonna fall in line with what everyone else is saying. And so that's probably my favorite one. Like whenever we could play that, I love playing that. So that's super fun.
I really enjoy that too, and it's very mixed among improvisers.
Yeah,
I love playing that game where you have the wild card of an audience member as part of the brain.
Yes. I've never done that. That's awesome.
It's awesome. It's scary, and for improvisers that are not 100% comfortable in their own skin, that wild card freaks them out, which is why I love doing it, because it's like I'm pushing that button. Like, I want you to get better. I want you to be challenged. I want you to be okay with making whatever they just added, make it make sense somehow.
Yeah. That's true. That's one of the coolest games. Anybody, if you can watch it, it has like so many different names. I think it's like there's like Dr. Big Brain, and there's like Mr. Know It
Dr. Know It
All, and
All.
no, yeah, like all that stuff. So there's a bunch of different versions of it, but it's three people together, and they all can only say one word at a time. And they say, start on your right, and you work all the way left. So someone says like, "This is the," and then like boom, 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 and you keep doing that over and over. It sounds easy. Okay. I've done it in improv class. I've done it in teen improv class that I taught. It is not ever easy. But it's a fun game that like really pulls you like into like, okay, I'm a teen, but I also have to have a good answer. Like I have to keep this train moving, and a good leader of that, a person like who's usually a director, knows when to cut you off, like cut off okay, that's a good great answer from Dr. Big Brain or whatever and stuff. So that's also a good part of it as well. Now, do you guys only do improv? Do you ever do sketch, or have you ever thought about doing sketch comedy stuff, or is that not something that you guys do too?
We've got a couple of sketches we've been working on. One sketch I wrote it's not a comedic sketch, but one of the charities that we work a lot with is Royal Family Kids Camps, which is a camp for kids who are in the foster care system. They often get forgotten about. Many of them never have a birthday party, never have a Christmas party. So Royal Family Kids Camps gives them a week where they're just celebrated and they're treated like normal kids. And so we do a lot of shows for different camps. And I wrote a sketch based on the story of one of the kids that I worked with. So we perform that every one of those shows, and it's a nice mix. It makes the comedy funnier because it's so serious, and because the soil has been tilled through the comedy, the message of the sketch gets to really plant in there. We've also got a couple of other funnier ones. One was written by one of our members. It's making fun of the farmersonly.com dating website, because they recently, I guess, there weren't enough farmers that wanted to marry outside their families. So they're like, so it's like farmersonly.com, not just for farmers anymore. And so like you would just make fun of that, and a lot of misunderstandings because you got two people talking through a FaceTime type of thing, and that's a lot of fun. We've got one where
what now does Farmers Only exclude ranchers? So is it just people who grow? Because a rancher is someone who grows like who raises like cattle and actual like animals. But a farmer only raises like fruits, vegetables, or whatever, like those things. So can ranchers be on farmers.com, or is that like one of those things where it's like, no, I don't want to date a rancher? You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, as long as they're jolly, I think this requirement. But no, right. I think that anybody that wants to sign up, and whether they want to be a farmer, marry a farmer, or are a farmer, I think they're welcome.
That's funny.
And as long as you're willing to get dirty, I think is the biggest requirement.
I always thought that was a funny sight, because it's like, how many farmers are out there looking for love? Like this can't be a big enough site. There's no way it's like Plenty of Fish or Match.com or any of the, like, I never thought it would be like, oh, there's no way there's that many. But apparently, I mean, it's sustained for a while. It's around, So, and now we keep subsecting dating stuff. There's all different kinds of dating groups, which I think is hilarious. It's like, you don't want someone, I don't know. This is the problem with why you're dating. Maybe this is it. I'm married. I would hate if my wife was exactly like me and we had all the same interests. It would be no fun. We have totally different interests in a lot of things. And if we had the same interest, it would be boring. So go find someone different and unique. Yeah, someone who likes you and likes some of the stuff that you like. You guys have to find common ground. But if it's like based on you like farming and I like farming, if that's all we got, I don't know how long it's going to last. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I mean, the next step would be brokecomedians.com. If you like to laugh but don't want to go out to eat, there's your...
there's a lot of those. There's a lot of broke comedians. That's exactly right. So how do you guys only do stuff in like the Illinois area, or do you go outside like other places? Do you travel? Like, what's that like? for you?
Mostly we stick to Chicagoland. We've been as far north as Racine, Wisconsin. We've done a couple shows in Indiana and Michigan. Again, it's that family thing where many of our performers can do a day trip there and back, but they can't do like overnight. That may change. We are in talks with a group in Florida that wants to fly us down to the Miami
Wow.
area, and we're like, sure, we'll come, but you got to make sure that you're covering our expenses because it's not cheap to travel from Chicago to Southern Florida,
Not at all.
especially
Not
when
at
you're
all.
bringing 5 or 6 people and all this kind of stuff. But we're willing to travel, especially if it's for a good cause. Like if you're doing a fundraiser and you want to bring some talent that you basically want to pay us for our day, because we're not gonna ask the Tim Hawkins, Michael Jr. rates. So
Right,
if you want
right.
to keep your budget reasonable, we'd love to come out and I personally travel to do improv workshops, and by myself, I could travel pretty much anywhere. I could drive, anywhere within days drive or fly out and just use improv as a way to either train you for the stage or train you for ministry communication. One of the things I've been doing the last 4 years is working with survivors of sex trafficking and using improv as a way to kind of tear down some of the walls that they've had to build in order to survive. And
Wow.
so, I love what improv can do outside of being on stage. On
Right.
stage is the fun, but the fulfillment comes with teaching it and seeing people have those breakthroughs.
Right. I always I'm a big believer that that should be something that we teach to kids growing up through school and stuff. If we have improv, it would help us deal with situations better as we get older. In those moments of we don't know what to say or what to do, if we have these improv skills, we can redirect that maybe something that's bothering us or change the topic or move forward. But we don't. A lot of us don't get taught those skills. We get taught to repress that or to
Hmm.
just hide it or to maybe lash out, depending on how you're being raised. But if you had improv being taught to kids, think of the communication levels that would just be expanded from that moment. Like it would be amazing. And I think that's I always say this. My joke is in my house, if I was president for a day, there'd be a lot of things that I would change, right? And one of them would be something like that. First thing would be, because I have kids, my wife works in schools, it would be school ends on I believe it's Memorial Day weekend, which is like at the end of like May or whatever,
Hmm.
and then doesn't start again until Labor Day, which is like September timeframe. And the rest of that is like time off. And we make sure that people can have time off to enjoy with their families because that to
Yeah.
me is the biggest problem that we have in America is that like we don't have enough time to spend with our families and to have with each other and enjoy each other's company. So there, I would that would be a big thing for me. And then the other one would probably be adding improv into schools, and then also making sure that no kids go hungry at school. Like when I was a kid, we were poor growing up, but I always when I got to school, I could have breakfast every day and I could have lunch every day. And so that would be like one of those things that I would make sure happens because kids are the ones that we don't I think get pushed aside. Like
Hmm.
we don't see the ramifications of all the things that happen to them until they become
Right.
adults, right? And then you go, whoa, what happened? And it's like, well, 18 years of this is what happened, and nobody did anything about it. So improv is a great thing. And plus, improv would work do you teach it in like offices and work,
Yeah.
like for works and businesses? Because that's a good skill, right?
Yeah. It improves communication, confidence, creativity. Also, in speaking both from a faith-based perspective and also just a world perspective, the idea is you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to say the perfect funny line. You don't have to say the perfect funny anecdote or whatever in the middle of a conversation. It's about being present and being there because
Yep.
5 minutes after you walk out of a room, whether it's a faith-based interaction or it's just a business interaction, the people you're talking to are not going to remember every single word you said. So you'd have to worry about your words being perfect, but your presence being perfect, your ability to actually listen to understand and not listen to respond. Those are
Yes.
things that make communication and connection valuable. And that's going to make you successful, whether it's business or whether it's ministry, either side. If you are present and you're able to hear and listen to understand rather than just to respond, that connection is going to buy you a lot of credibility and a lot of capital to use to make have influence on that person's life or their business.
Yeah. I think it's called active listening. Is that the right term? Is that the term I'm
I'm
looking
sorry,
for?
what'd you say? Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, yes, that's what I'm talking about. I love it. I love it. Yeah, because a lot of people don't active listen, right? They just kind of like they go like, okay, yeah, and they're thinking of what they're gonna say next or
Right.
whatever, and they don't really focus on it. I'll forget. It's funny because you saying it made me remember the term, but I will 9 times out of 10 forget the term active listening and be like, you're supposed to like listen more when people, and they're like, I believe it's called active listening, James. Like you need to, I'm like, yeah, that's what it is. So it's good. Um, what's the ultimate goal here of the group? What do you want to do? Do you want to expand chapters and like put one in every state? Like what do you see this kind of the future of well-versed comedy? What do you see it happening?
There's definitely been interest in expanding. We've had preliminary talks about expanding in Tulsa. I'd love to expand further south into Florida. But that's something, because we are ministry minded. It's something that we're just letting God open the door for.
Yeah,
But primarily, I personally would love to perform 25 to 30 shows a year, and do it in such a way, not I would like for us to get paid, but more
yeah,
importantly, to make an impact where every weekend we're doing a show that makes somebody's life a little bit better.
I
Whether
love that.
it's somebody that has lost a job and somebody gives them a ticket where they can just come. Their burdens or frustrations, they're going to be waiting for them in the parking lot. But for 90 minutes, leave them in the parking lot and come remember there's more to life than the bill that's due next week. So
Yeah.
that's my biggest goal. And one of the things that my wife and I are actually in the process of is we're applying to be U.S. missionaries to use improv in comedy as a way to minister to more people. Like I mentioned, work with women who've survived sex trafficking. There are organizations in every state that works with survivors of trafficking.
Really?
There's an organization in Dallas that works with kids who've survived trafficking. And the power of improv to kind of unlock some of the things that they have to lock away uh, just to survive. I want to use that as a way to you know bring them back into the world where they can now contribute to society and not be just a victim, but instead be a thriver, be a survivor that makes an impact in the world themselves.
Yeah. There's a friend of ours that I don't remember the group now because I'm trying to think of it. They go help rescue people from human trafficking and sex
Mhm.
trafficking or whatever. And I forgot what's Operation Underground Railroad.
Oh
Is
yeah,
that have you
yeah,
heard of that before? So we have family friends that do that and stuff. And it's very interesting to me because I'm like, this is so because they go to like other countries and do
yeah.
this and like it's insane. And I didn't realize until I heard stories, I didn't realize how big of a deal it is. Because we don't see it daily of things happening. It's also like the same thing. We don't see the ramifications of what's happening in the world and for another 10 to 20 years, right? We don't that there's a gap in what happened and why is this happening now, right? And we're seeing a lot of that occurring right now in the world and in America, especially. But we're going, why are all these things happening? This didn't happen when I was a kid. Why is it happening now? It's like, okay, what has happened over the last 10 to 20 years that made this start becoming a thing, right? There are reasons. So we just have to be thoughtful about it. I think improv and comedy in general, right? My
Yeah.
grandma always used to say, if something's bothering you, find a way to find the funny in that thing, find a way to find the silver lining, right? And then I could joke about things that maybe were hurtful or made me feel sad or made me feel bad in the moment. But after that, after I laughed over it, then it kind of went away. It was like, okay, well, that doesn't matter, right? Obviously, if I can make fun of it, it's not a big deal. If I can't make fun of it, then I need to figure out how to fix it or how to remove it from my life or whatever it is so that it's not, there. So I like that you're doing that. What is do you have any personal comedy goals? Like, do you ever want to do stand up or anything, or do you love doing improv so much that you never want to try stand up? I mean, you're in a great city for both, right? You're in a great
Right.
city for actually you're in a great city for sketch, improv, and stand up. I mean, there's great comedians that have come out of there. Hannibal Buress is one of my favorite comedians to come out of Chicago. Obviously, a ton of SNL cast has come out of Chicago. Like, there's so many great comedians that have come out. One of my great friends, Jonathan Giles, is out of Chicago. Like there is great people in comedy that come out of there. So what is do you have any other goals besides improv?
Well, I do a little bit of stand up.
Okay.
I've got probably 15 to 20 good minutes so far, just enough to kind of open up a show. If we're doing a 2-hour show, you want to mix it up between improv and stand up, or at least have a variety, because your cast needs a break and needs a breather. But so I'm probably got about 10 to 15 minutes. Most of it is picking on my own size, which you got to go with what you got.
What you got? Yeah.
And one of my favorite bits is also talking about the time that I neglected to give money to a guy that was asking for money, and I felt like God convicted me and said I should have helped him. So a few moments later, I'm pulling into a grocery store, and there's old guy struggling to get out of his car. And it's a true story. Guy struggling to get out of his car. So I think, oh, God's giving me a chance to redeem myself, and ask this guy, hey, sir, can I give you a hand? I startled him, and I don't know if it's because, he's an older black man, and here's this big white guy hollering at him. I was like, oh, okay. I'm sorry I startled you. He's like, oh, no, I'm okay. And as I go to leave, I look back at him, and he's standing between his rear and front door, using the parking lot as a urinal. And I had offered him a hand.
Nice. Growing up in Texas, I was always taught that if you see a older lady or older gentleman struggling with groceries or bags or need help, you should offer help. But now I live in Southern California. And when you walk up on an older gentleman or older lady and offer them help, and you look like me, which you can't see me now, but I'm 5'10", I'm about 220 pounds. I'm kind of a sizey guy. It scares them. They go, no, I don't need your help. I don't need your help. And whereas in Texas, they were like, yes, please, whatever. So it's such a weird dynamic where now I've terrified somebody, and all I want to do is, and my wife has to be like, you can't do that. Like, just, you got to leave that. But then I'll go home, or I'll go visit my grandma in Texas, or I'll go back to Texas. And then that comes right back, because that's how it is. Like, that's how I was raised. So it's a weird thing to, like, you want to help somebody, and you get in weird situations because of it, I had an old lady almost she started to pull her pepper spray. I was like, ma'am, I just want to help you load your groceries. We're good. And she's like, okay. Like, I'm not going to rob you. Like, I don't know what's happening here. Like, I'm like, okay, all right. I guess you can't be nice anymore. I don't know what the rules are.
Well, the one thing is, you always, with me, is like, I can't outrun you, so we're fine.
Yeah.
Your audience can't see me either. I'm 6'2", around 380. They ask me if laziness runs in my family. I say nobody runs in my family.
Oh, I have a question for you. Were you a face or a heel?
I was mostly a face, because I jumped into pro wrestling as a radio DJ. I was on a local radio station, and so that was like the crossover promotion. But my favorite run was when I got to turn heel, and just because there's so little pressure when you're the heel. All you got to do, and here's somebody, if you're going to pro wrestling and you're going to do the indie circuit, this is your thing. If you're going to want to be an effective heel, find that one kid in the front row that's noisy, and find a way to shut them up. And then everybody in the crowd is going to rally around that kid that you picked on. I mean, don't go brutal. Don't,
No. But you'll be like, shut up. I'm going to smash his face and I'm coming after you. And then they're like, and everyone gets mad at you for like picking on this little kid. Yeah, I love that, dude. My favorite heels are always ones who will like look at the audience or like give them that look or whatever. Rhea Ripley in WWE right now is that heel. She very much like will give the audience like just give them this hateful look. And you're like, oh my gosh, it's terrifying. It's so good. Not all of her group does that. Okay. Like Finn Balor. I know we're going to get in the weeds here. Finn Balor, never a good heel to me. I'm sorry. He's supposed to be a face. That guy is built to be a face.
Yeah.
I don't know why they keep trying to do this to him, but it is what it is. It's like if you saw John Cena turn heel, you know what I'm saying?
Right. And the thing about Finn Balor is, like you said, he's built to be a face because he 100%. Is the ultimate underdog.
Yeah.
And with the Irish accent I think he's Irish, whatever the accent is, he doesn't sound intimidating, and like Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley, and they're solid heels. Dominic is only a heel because
Yes.
of how good Rey Mysterio is.
Of course, 100%, 100%. Yeah. I know. Sorry, guys, we got in the weeds here and we talked about wrestling, but wrestling is very important to comedy, improv, also because it's a lot of people will call it, like a telenovela for men, right? It's one of those things where like you're watching because of the week to week. Oh, what's going to happen this week to him? What's going to happen? Remember last week when he turned on him, and now is he going to turn again? Like we all get excited about it. It's just dress up and play, but it's very fun. It's very interesting because it takes a lot of elements of, and also it does take a ton of elements of from comedy, from improv, from sketch, all those pieces, and puts them together in a live action performance that you have to physically be invested in. There's costumes to it, right? If the person doesn't look right in their outfit or their costume, it throws off stuff. You've seen that. And some people where you're like, why are they having him dressed like that? Like, that doesn't make any sense, And so it's just a lot of those things are just a very amazing. And you could take lessons. There's a lot of comedians that are pro wrestling fans, by the way. You could take the lessons from pro wrestling and use those in comedy too, right? Some of the greatest wrestlers were so funny on the mic. Go watch Macho Man Randy Savage old interviews where he does mic work, and he says the craziest, most outlandish things. They're so good and they're so funny, and you're just like, this guy's either a genius or on everything. Spoiler, on everything, but but like amazing, right? Hulk Hogan is the ultimate mic person. I mean, I guess probably now most people probably say The Rock is the ultimate mic person, but back in the day, Hulk Hogan really had that way to speak, and it's one of those things where you can learn a lot. And that is why I always tell comedians you should take at least one improv class, because I think you'll learn something. You'll learn, you go, oh, I could use this on stage, and I know that it works because I took improv. I took like a 6 weeks class. And after the first class, I'm not kidding you. After the first class, I had a show where the middle act did not show up. So he wasn't there. I was opening. I was waiting to get the light. And they were like, keep going, keep going. But I had done my set because I already knew what I was going to do. I only had like 10 minutes planned. So I did a couple more jokes. And then I was like, try improv. I'm going to have the audience. I'm going to riff for the audience and see. I'm going to say, hey, guys, give me a topic to talk about. And then I made up jokes, and it turned into another bit because somebody brought up something that was like, oh, I could use this and stuff. And then I had another show in May that is 100% improv stand-up show. So you get an idea, and then you have to do a minute on that idea. And then they give you another idea. Wow. And you have to do a minute on that idea. I think you do 5 minutes, but you're going to do at least 5 things. You could pass. Like, you can be like, oh, I'll pass. Give me something else. But it's an interesting way to do it. And I know at least one of those are going to turn into a bit, because I know that what happens is in that moment, you're just trying to think of all the things related to whatever the topic is, right? So I threw out hamburgers to you, right? There's going to be a million things that run through your mind right away. Like for me, mine right away was Wendy's. I have no idea why. I don't even go to Wendy's, but like that was the number one thing. And then I could talk about why they have a square patty versus why everybody else has a round patty and whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many pieces there. So I also see you guys have merch on your site, which I think is really cool. You have your shirt right there, the OGHG, which stands for Our Gifts, His Glory, for His glory, right? So that's pretty awesome. I like the Pun Life shirt too. Do you have it in black? Do you have it in black?
I don't know if I have it in black now, because I think the design was colored. But I mean, if you want it in black, I can update the merch shop, and it'll take me about 20 minutes.
I love it. It's such a cool shirt. Like, first of all, I love those glasses. Like, those are some of my favorite glasses. I always want to buy a pair. But yeah, I love puns, and I know a lot of comedians hate puns. Like, it's like a most hated thing. But I believe puns are just they're just punny. It's
a sign of genius.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's for me as a comedian, especially an improv comedian, a groan is just as good as a laugh.
I have friends like that. I have stand-up friends that are just exactly the same way. They're like, I'll take the groan. And I'm like, but you don't want the groan. You don't want but in improv, sometimes the groan is necessary for the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
So where can people find you? Where can people find Well-Versed Comedy? Where can they find where you're going to be at or hire you? All those kind of things.
You can connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at Well-Versed CMDY. Twitter had a limit on how many letters you could have. So just to make everything uniform, I took out the O and the E in comedy. So you can say that I had a digital vowel movement. But you can find us at wellversecmdy, wellversecomedy.com. And you can also find me directly at giftsforglory.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Dave. I really appreciate it. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Please like, subscribe. Go check out Wellverse Comedy. I'll put all the links in the show notes. Also, make sure that you go to our YouTube and subscribe. I see you guys doing it every week. I see you guys, the numbers going up. So keep watching, keep subscribing. Keep subscribing on whatever podcast app you're listening to. That helps the numbers every month, too. We get more and more guests. We get great people. We're getting amazing people. This is spreading the word on all kinds of stuff, just like this, or just like Wellverse Comedy. So thank you again. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.